Go ahead.
I wondered, as you say, audiences, Denise, what the One Yellow Rabbit Theatre Company have done over the years, to my sense, and I didn't see some of the earliest of, has changed a little bit, and I wonder if you could comment on how your group's sensibility and output has changed, if you think it has, and how it's affected the audience, or how the audience has reacted to some of the earlier stuff and what you're doing now, and whether there's a sense of it from a performer's side, just who you're presenting to.
Well, I don't know if it's, you know, we're not very, we're very fortunate because we have made our own work our entire career. And so it's not normal. Usually you're not constantly creating your own work. So we're pretty self-determined in that respect. I guess the biggest change is that we're old. And, you know, we started off as 22-year-olds. And, you know, we were making punk rock work, and it was outrageous sometimes. And we had no rules, and I mean no rules, except for what we've discussed. But there was no ceiling or no limit to what we wanted to do. And our audience sort of grew up with us, and then now we're more senior, and so we're more of an institution, which is pretty amusing to us. And we're blown away by that idea too, and feel the responsibility to that. So I guess more than that, more than us feeling we've changed, is we just feel like now our audiences are used to us. Mm-hmm. So we're not as radicalized, because now there's a lot of work like what we make. And there wasn't 38 years ago. It was quite innovative, and I'd say it still is to a certain extent, but there's lots of amazing, like we have the High Performance Rodeo at One Yellow Rabbit, which just finished on yesterday, and that festival happens every January, and if you've never been, please check it out online and have a look at what we bring in from all over the world, and from Calgary, and from all over Canada, and the continent, and it's just so thrilling to see our houses packing out, and our audience is appreciating these artists from all over the place, and our work. So that's maybe the difference, is that the times have changed.
We had another question over here.
I have a comment and maybe a question about the book.
Yeah.
The cover makes me think of Rolling Stone. I don't know if that's intentional, and is that a critique on their oversight of their lack of documentation of the rabbit?
No. Wow, no, not at all. Yes, yes it is. Yes, very astute.
Yeah, hold it up.
Chris makes me do this at home.
I think the small type at the top would be Rolling Stone.
Okay. Well, by the way, these are for sale in the back room. It was just, you know what? This is Laureen Sheba from Derville Press. This was her doing. She chose the pictures. This is a photograph by a wonderful Canadian photographer and yoga practitioner named Heather Elton, taken when my besties and I were in Greece in our 20s. And yeah, it was not any intentional fight back of the Rolling Stone empire. So I'm going to phone them.
Yeah.
Yes?
No mentors?
Well, here's the thing. No, not really. Like in the ballet world, and boy, I'd love to say yes, but in the 80s, in the 70s, when I was a young artist, I didn't have ballet mentors. I had ballet teachers and choreographers and directors, and it wasn't so much warm and fuzzy stuff.
No.
You know?
In the world.
In the world, I had people I admired, but I didn't really feel that. No, nobody reached out. Like now, we are really. It's important that we look out for our young'uns, and we're forever reaching back. That was a big part of the lab, the creation of the lab too. But you know, I'm really reaching back all the time and hauling these young artists forward and making sure they get their chance and their opportunities, because I see so much talent that I want to help nurture and just get them going. But honestly, John Morrell is 10 years, a little bit, 12 years older than me, and he would be the closest thing to a mentor because of his friendship. But very few people said to One Yellow Rabbit in the 80s, yeah, you know, you guys, we'd like to do this for you. We just were like building theaters literally with our own two hands and stuff. So, you know, no, I wish I could say.
Awesome. That's good.
Well, one thing though, that when we were discussing this, one of the cool things for you though was that you ended up with Blake and Michael and John, and you learned from your peers.
Oh yeah, I mean, we mentored one another in that respect completely. You know, they were completely open to my taking over the physical training of the company. I was completely learning from, especially Michael Green. His acting was my favorite kind of acting, and so Michael and I played together for many, many, many years, and we're playing partners, and of course I learned enormously from him. Blake Brooker's an extraordinary writer and intellect, and he really believed in me as a writer. And, you know, it's not normal for a dance artist to start writing plays, but, you know, that he just made that seem like, yeah, why not? So in that respect, we had tremendous friendship. Yes.
I was intrigued by your comments about the practice, my practice. I found that very interesting. Thank you. Do you feel the same when you step on the stage now as you did back then? Or is it
No.
different? How is
Yeah.
it different?
I'm calmer. I'm a lot more at ease on the stage. I was a bit of a, like, for instance, I hated coughing. And if somebody started coughing in the house, I was, oh my God, they're coughing. You know, and you just can't go there. You really can't. I can tell you my divorce ended my uptightness on stage, because my first husband dumped me, and I was doing a show, get this, about getting dumped. A solo one-woman show about getting dumped. And I had to go on. And all of a sudden, it didn't seem so important anymore if people were coughing. And all of a sudden, I don't know what I just got off my own high horse, and I just realized, it doesn't even matter. I also realized that I was way funnier, the sadder and more tragic I was. And it was like, oh, that's interesting. And so I just completely let go of that part of my sort of superstitious...
Do you have the same excitement?
Hey?
Do you have the same excitement?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I love going on now because I feel so ready. You know, I trust myself a lot more. I have a lot of stage time behind me, and so I have so much fun getting ready, because it's like I get to go do this, and I don't have stage fright anymore. And I used to suffer a bit from that too.
Thank you.
Matt.
Yeah. So much of what I love about what the One Yellow Rabbit shows that I've seen, and kind of in art in general, is the weirdness and this kind of strange avant-garde maybe thing that exists. And I feel like I don't know if it's the climate of today, if people are more sensitive to things, but I feel like things just aren't as weird as they used to be. Not through your work, but just kind of in general, I feel like the weirdness has kind of changed. And how do you feel about that, or what is your relationship to kind of the weird and wacky and how it's kind of evolved?
Oh, well, you know, there's the whole issue of political correctness in art making is very problematic, because you can't police yourself when you're an artist. You can't, or you will. It's that simple. If you start thinking, oh, I can't do that, it just comes down to how well you do it. You don't want to hurt someone. You don't want to hurt people. But I've never wanted to hurt people, and so I think you can do whatever you want as long as you're not. Well, you're always going to offend someone. I'm not kidding you. you're just always going to offend someone. You can step off stage and you'll get a letter saying, you know, it wasn't right that you just think, oh, whatevs, you know. You can't please everybody all the time, so I'm not worried about that, and I do lament for the younger artists who are caught in that cycle right now. I think it's a period of overcorrection that is necessary because there's been a lot of really shitty stuff go on, and now it's time to overcorrect that by, you know, it's going to be a tough 10 years. And then I think it'll loosen up again, and you know, people will go, what happened to men? Remember when men were ballsy? And be like, oh, you know, now if you said that, people go like, oh, you know, like I think the feminist movement will come back around again and feel as though maybe the period of overcorrection can end at this point. We need to go through it now, and then it's going to shift into another zone again. But I don't believe there's a place for it in art making. So there's a lot of weird and wonderful out there still, Matt, and there you might have seen at the rodeo. But I think people are very nervous right now because it's a very tough time. At the back?
Just a bit of a personal question. What year were you aiming to graduate from at Beaverbrook?
Well, I really wasn't aiming. But I would have graduated in 73. I'm 62 this year, so that would have been my graduation year. Why, did you go to Beaverbrook?
Yes.
When would you have graduated?
73. Did you ever think of doing a production based on the drama at Beaverbrook?
The Beaverbrook? No.
Jerry Roberts, by the way.
Hi, nice. Okay, how? You know, I'll say hi for you. He's still doing his thing. My rock and roll brother. What a pleasure to see you again. That's so cool.
Hi, Denise. I just have a quick question. Just words of wisdom to those that are in the arts world. I have family that practices. They've gone from acting to directing to different parts of things, and now maybe in their 30s and later 30s. And as you alluded to, it's not an easy world. So if you were to give one piece of advice or a word of wisdom, what would you say to them?
Well, again, and if you're referring to who I think you may be, you practice. You need to plot your life out so that you can actually do it all. And so if you really are poverty-stricken, you know, there's nothing worse than the grinding poverty of really being stressed about not being able to pay your rent or your bills. You got to figure that out. And then beyond that, you have to understand that it's a devotional craft. You have to devote yourself to it, and you have to go, that's what I'm going to get. I'm going to feel really good about what I do, and I'm going to be happy. And you know, I feel extremely fortunate because I actually can pay for my life. You know, I make enough money at this age to pay for my little life. And that was from stick-to-itiveness, and also from understanding there really was no other thing for me to do. There really wasn't. I just wouldn't have rocked any other gig. And so, you know, and to diversify. Because now, you know, I work as a director, I work as a writer, I work as an actor, I work as a choreographer, and that's what you really need in your pocket is a set of skills that are that people want.
Just got time for 2 more questions. The guy right at the back.
Not really a question, I just wanted to say thank you for sticking to it.
Oh, thank you. What a wow, that's so kind. That's really kind.
One more? Oh.
Hi. You're welcome. It's Carolyn.
You know, I was so upset and sad to learn of Michael Green's passing. I'm wondering, how did you personally make it through that, and how did the company make it?
Oh, well, it was very difficult. Compounding Michael Green's death, 3 months previous to that, Richard McDowell, our composer, died. one night. And then Michael died 3 months later, and the grief was so overwhelming that I think what we were able to do was hold each other and make work. And Richard died the 4th day of rehearsal we were making a happy little show based on T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland. And then 4 days into rehearsal, Richard died. And those of you who know the poem well will know that it's about death and the aftermath of the First World War and the spiritual vacuum left by that kind of destruction and loss, both for T.S. Eliot, a personal loss in that he lost someone that broke his heart terribly, and of course, the many others whose lives were lost in that ridiculous war. And so we poured ourselves into the making of the piece, and Michael performed in that, and he had just come back to the stage. And so we had the beautiful time together of grieving so actively in our every single day of work, and saying T.S. Eliot's exquisite lines, which are very meaningful to me, and that gave tremendous solace. And then when Michael died, the ridiculous non-reality of the situation, it just, I made a very black joke at the time, and that was, one yellow rabbit getting closer and closer to living up to its name, because it just felt like when 2 of your colleagues die right away, you start thinking, who's next? You really do. And I guess just time. Michael has a daughter too named Maya, who's a very big part of our lives, and I guess for her too, we just wanted to plow on. And there was a huge outpouring for Michael, and so that was helpful. It was nice to see him so noted and his passing so noted in the community. It was very, very moving for us, and so that helped a lot. But you don't get over that stuff. It just changes a bit.
So we're going to wind this up now. Denise is going to be available. We're going to get some dinner in a minute on the other side. People are welcome to come and have another glass of wine or some more to eat or circulate. It is a weeknight, so we have to let people go on. Thank you very much for coming, and thank you. It was an extraordinary
Jeff, thank
thing.
you.